Okay, we're plugging along in raster model, module 7. Last time I kind of covered the rest of the basics of the raster model. So remember, we have grids of equally spaced cells that you hope are square, one value assigned across the entire area of the cell. They're georeferenced by knowing the coordinates of one of the corners of your grid, and then the offset in terms of number of cells or number of rows, number of columns from the corner. If you have integer values in your grid, you can attach attributes to your grid, and just like you can in vector. Raster, of course, is better for continuous data than vector data is. So there's a few example data sets I wanted to show you that you can get out there. These are all free, available from the government, and you can do a lot of analysis just based upon these data sets. And the first one I want to talk about is the GAP data sets. That stands for Gap Analysis Program, GAP. This is made by the USGS. And there are 4 different data sets you can get here: land cover, protected areas, species, and aquatic. And the whole theory behind the GAP program is to identify types of habitat that could have certain species and matching habitat to species. Okay, you can go out to this website, USGS Gap Analysis, and click on the Get Data Land Cover, or you can go to the Land Cover Viewer. This next screen shows you the Land Cover Viewer. I guess if I go back a few pages here, and I go down here, there are 590 land use classes in the land cover data set. So there's 590 different integer values, each one associated with a different type of land cover. But there are additional attributes available that allow you to generalize that 590 into more general categories, and you can get all the way down to 8 different general types of land cover. So you can get really detailed land cover, you can get kind of generalized land cover data. Here's another one. NED stands for the National Elevation Data Set. Now this is elevation data over the conterminous United States. These are what are called a digital elevation model. Sometimes you'll hear this referred to as a DEM. But this is National Elevation Data Set. And let's look at the description of that. It's a seamless data set. So what it's done is it's gone out and it's collected all the best elevation information for the conterminous United States and put it all together in a seamless fashion, so you can pick out any portion of the United States and just get the elevation data for that portion. Okay? Let's look at some of these things from like back in Module 2. Geographic coordinates. So your units are going to be decimal degrees, and remember, if you're going to do analyses based on this, you need to project these things because geographic coordinates don't work so well when you're away from the equator. What is the ellipsoid that's used? NAD 1983. Remember that from Module 2? What's the vertical datum? It's the NAVD 1988. So that's the whole geoid thing. You can get different resolutions. Resolutions are cell sizes. The largest cell size are 1 arc second, and you can get all the way down in some areas to 1/9 arc second. So 1/9 arc second is about 3 meter cells, 1 arc second is about 30 meter cells. Okay, you can see also that it serves as the elevation layer of the national map. So when you go to the national map viewer and ask for elevation data or DEM data, that's the data it's going to give you from the NED. PRISM data is where you can get some climate data. The PRISM group is a group of people out of Oregon State that have put together all these data sets. PRISM stands for Parameter Elevation Regressions on Independent Slopes Model. So they take a lot of measurement information and they interpolate it, but they interpolate it using models that incorporate local conditions like topography and elevation and rain shadows and things like that. So this is the best raster climate data that you can get for the conterminous United States. PRISM data. Here's an example. It's spatial climate data sets, temperature, precipitation. The normals are really valuable data sets. There are 30-year normals you can use to compare current conditions to the 30-year normals. This is an example of 30-year normal precipitation from 1981 to 2010. So this is a raster data set for the entire country. There are two different resolutions, two different cell sizes you can get, and you can get the annual precipitation for any of the areas in the contiguous United States. Just looking up here, you can get an image, which is a raster. You can get data in a BIL format, you can get data in an ASC format, and you can get metadata. So all these things should kind of make sense to you now. What metadata is, I talked about raster and the different formats. So these data sets are single band data sets in a variety of formats. And that's where you can get climate data. Imagery. You can get imagery in a bunch of places, but one of the best places I found is the NAIP, N-A-I-P data sets. That stands for National Agriculture Imagery Program. This one is hosted by the United States Department of Agriculture. Basically, it involves overflights that they do, especially over cropland, to see which acres of crop are producing or not producing, so that they can figure out things like payments for Conservation Reserve Program and things like that. So they fly over these areas frequently, and so you can get a lot of land cover change information by looking at the imagery and how things change over time. You can go out to the USDA Data Gateway site to get these data sets, and that's one of the ways you can do it. Or you can go to the National Map Viewer and get the NAIP data sets. If you go out to the Data Gateway, the website looks like this, and here in this example you're looking at Latah County, Idaho. You select the place that you want to get the data for, and it shows you all the information you can download that's available from this Data Gateway. And in this case, for NAIP data sets, you can see that there's 2004, 6, 9, 11, and 13 data sets. So you can get a variety of different temporal time periods, and you can also see that these are very large data sets, 800 megabytes for these newer data sets. These, for the most part, I think you get down to about 1 meter cell size. You can get even less than 1 meter in some of it. Some cases you'll get 4 bands. Some cases you'll get 3 bands in the data set, and the 3 bands in a natural color data set, 1 band is for the red part, 1 is for the green, and 1 is for the blue. 4 band data sets have an infrared band, which allows you to kind of do some things to see vegetation better. I'll talk about that later in the semester. Okay, so that's 4 sets of data that you can get from the government. You can get land cover data, you can get elevation data, you can get climate data, and you can get imagery for free from the government on the internet. Go to those websites, figure out what you need, download the data, you can put it into ArcGIS and work with it. So next time we're going to start talking about what do you do with this raster data in terms of analysis. You remember in vector analysis you could do buffering and clipping and overlaying and querying and joining and relating. Well, what can you do with the raster data set? I'll be able to start talking about that next time in raster analysis.